The Hellenistic world describes the 2.5 million years of human endeavor and integration into today's society. The Hellenistic world illustrates the ancient times of humanity. Artifacts are golden relics when measuring time. Artifacts are the news that are passed from generation to generation for hundreds of years. Artifacts could imply any item or document. It refers newer generations of humans to the older generation's life. The earliest written records go back 5,000 years in the Near East in Mesopotamia and the Nile Valley. This illustrates that Egypt was one of the earliest civilizations. This is incredibly interesting to me, because there's a gap between 2.5 million years of human history and the earliest civilization of Egypt that traces back 5,000 years ago from today. What we consider to be the gap between 2.5 million years ago and 5,000 years ago is called prehistory. I'm interested in studying prehistory because those are the very first humans. The very first humans had lived extremely primitively. The civilization of Egypt, on the other hand, had some construction in architecture. Construction in architecture was an incredibly significant foundation, as how people find and thrive is through basic needs such as shelter. When we learn about Greece in the second chapter, only supplements to the verisimilitude that leading and ancient civilizations were dependent on architecture subsequently to the foundation of agriculture. Basic culture history of prehistoric times refers what individuals in the ancient period did in their pastime. Prehistoric times is when before the trace of earliest history. What languages did people communicate in? What did people exactly do to create music, or even cook when there was no such thing as electricity? Archaeology is unique among all scientific disciplines in its ability to chronicle human biological and cultural change over long periods of time. This is incredibly fascinating to me, as all humans have definitely evolved endlessly, and the discovery of evolution is the best measurement when examining time with humans. Time with humans is so important as it marks the change that is necessary and inevitable, as all humans learn how to utilize resources in the best mechanism. What is fundamental to studying human history is the recognition of the Stone Age, Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. To people who are new studying human history, Stone Ages refers to when individuals use stone as the main form of technology, communication, documentation, and illustration. Rock carving into stone is how to use the best and most accessible communication in a timely, effective, fast, consistent, speedy, reasonable manner. When examining history and art history in a fundamental light, relics in history is introduced by archaeologists, who are expertise in the understanding or comprehension of ancient human art, technology, literature, and communication. Trained scientists who are archaeologists have studied for at least a dozen years in university and have attained a PhD doctoral degree. The PhD that scientist attains is what accommodates ancient history students to have better knowledge in the culture of the first humans respectively. You may think that you have to be a chemist or biologist in order to be a scientist, but art history is valid when understanding our lives. Fun fact, wood and bone perish more easily than stone and clay vessels. Interestingly, so many people may think that bones would last for easily thousands of years, but bones are not as solid as stone. That is the reason why stone statues are known to last at least several hundred years longer as compared to skeletons. To those who would love to compile and establish an ancient shared culture would participate what is considered to be assemblage, effective and useful in commemorating an ancient village in a collaborate mechanism. The most powerful hint when collecting artifacts is the ancient community itself, as consistency is what could help a thesis near its conclusion of approximate accuracy. When you are measuring an individual's height, doctors may measure the individual's height no more than 3 times for secondary checking of consistency. Art history is a very significant, fundamental study where false information would negatively detriment and impact the preservation of an ancient culture. Artifacts of ancient culture is already rare, so to put mistaken information would only deplete the authenticity or truth of artifact history. Another supplementation inference to implement is that there is thousands of times more potential to store, share, retain, and distribute information. In the prehistoric era, much of cultural artifacts at this time are worth millions of dollars, the rarity is precious, and the cultural value or history is priceless. Culture is an adaptive system, an interface between ourselves, the environment, and other human societies. Culture denotes such a rich detail, called interface, which also means relationship, pertinence, connection. To truly comprehend art history is to see how we thrive and survive from each other. We rely on each other for resources. When studying economics, it's beyond pertinent that global trade is influenced by our need and necessity for resources.